later. Tingnan.
Oh, nakakuha siya.
everyone. We will start in a bit, so stay stuck right there in your seats. We'll be with you till 12 noon today. And good morning for our viewers you are now in our live broadcast. Good morning.
I am Mandaue, bringing the best. I am Mandaue, bringing the best. I am Mandaue, bringing the best. Ideal the pet Mandaue, bring the best in you and me.
Good day, dear educators, and welcome to the master classes for kindergarten and grade 1, 4, and 7 teachers across all learning areas. We are thrilled to have each one of you join us today, and we hope you enjoyed the opening program streamed live by DepEd Philippines. It was truly an inspiring kickoff that set the tone for the enriching sessions we have lined up. As we near the end of November and with December just around the corner, there is an undeniable excitement in the air. Well, the festive session brings with it the happiest of lives, and we hope that this energy fuels your passion to learn and grow even more as educators. Thank you for being here and investing your time in your professional development. Together, let us make this masterclass series an unforgettable journey of learning, collaboration, and inspiration. The SDO Division of Mandaue City is very honored to contribute to this nationwide endeavor for our dear teachers by hosting the masterclass for grade 1 this morning. Magandang umaga, Pilipinas! Mula sa aming mga taga Cebu, maayong buntag kanatong tanan. Meanwhile, this training for teachers is streamed simultaneously with other divisions who have partnered with NEAP in delivering the master classes to our public and private school teachers in the entire country. And good thing, this is for free. Our partner schools, we have the DepEd Central Office, SDO Mandaue City, SDO Quezon City, SDO Makati City, SDO Antipolo City, SDO Cebu City, SDO Davao City, SDO Panabo City, and SDO Mandaue City. At this juncture, let us take a moment to ensure that everyone is all set for a smooth and enjoyable experience. As we are gathered here virtually, it is important that we stay connected and engaged, not just in the learning, but also in making sure we all have the best possible experience. So, master classmates, allow me to share a few quick reminders to help us navigate today's online space with ease. Let us make sure we are all ready for a productive and seamless session. Number 1, our daily attendance. Please ensure that your name and PRC ID number are correctly encoded, as these will be used for verifying your outputs and generating certificates. Next, your daily evaluation for CPD units. Well, to qualify for CPD units, participants must complete the daily evaluation form. provided at the end of each session. Well, the morning group has until 12 midnight to submit, while the afternoon group can submit until 12 noon the next day. Our program management team will be delighted to read your in-depth thoughts, so participants are really encouraged to expound on their answers. Here is a quick instructional video on how our daily evaluations will transpire. Let's watch this. And number three, certificate of participation. Well, certificates will be sent to participants' registered emails within 2 weeks after the submission of all the required documents and outputs. Number four, compliance reminder. Participants who do not complete the required outputs will not receive a certificate from the masterclass. Next up, we have collaborative expertise opportunity. Participants are encouraged to share the topics from the master classes at the school level to earn a certificate of recognition through the collaborative expertise. This involves facilitating sessions with select teachers using the provided school-based session guide from the Professional Development Division of the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, which includes a group discussion guide and suggested approaches. These sessions may be conducted until January 30 of 2025, led by our principal, head teachers, or master teachers in school. Well, to fully understand what this collaborative expertise is about, our team has prepared an instructional video. Again, let's all watch this.
Have you ever wondered what Collaborative Expertise Guide really means? Let's uncover how working together can unlock extraordinary results.
Collaborative expertise is when professionals work together, sharing knowledge to improve outcomes, especially in education. The highlights the importance of shared leadership and continuous learning among educators. Research shows that teacher collaboration leads to better instructional practices and higher student achievement. In essence, collaborative expertise involves collective inquiry, mutual support, and shared goals to enhance performance. Who will take charge of a collaborative expertise sessions? The power lies in the hands of the head teacher, master teacher, or school head. Disclaimer: don't forget, you can tweak, add, or adapt this guide to fit your teacher's needs. Collaboration works best your way. Let's dive into the steps to effectively lead a collaborative expertise session. Step 1. Group Discussion Guide. Kick off with a structured group discussion to ensure smooth, focused, and effective conversations. Step 2. Guide questions for insights sharing sessions. Use guide questions to deepen understanding and connect learning to real-life applications. Teachers can also add questions to plan actionable steps and tackle key challenges. Step 3. Plenary sharing and feedback giving. Foster open communication by sharing insights and gaining perspectives from everyone in the room. Step 4. Wrap-up activities. End on a high note. Use the wrap-up guide to summarize, reflect, and conclude the session effectively. Now that you know how to wrap up, let's explore 3 powerful approaches teachers can adapt to make their collaborative expertise sessions even more impactful. First, Socratic Forum. Foster critical thinking and deeper understanding through collaborative dialogue. This approach encourages meaningful discussions, inquiry, and reflection, enhancing the overall learning experience. Second, snowballing. Promote collaboration by sharing diverse perspectives. Teachers start in small groups, analyze topics together, and then combine insights, creating a collective knowledge base. Third, listening triangle. Sharpen communication skills with this dynamic method. Teachers rotate as speaker, questioner, and note-taker, developing active listening, insightful questioning, and collaborative note-taking. This approach fosters meaningful collaboration and a deeper understanding, paving the way for impactful outcomes. Following the collaborative sessions, facilitators are expected to submit an accomplishment report through MS Form. This ensures the session's success is evaluated by documenting key details, including facilitator profiles, topics discussed, approaches used, teacher engagement, session frequency, and valuable insights with recommendations. Reports should be submitted on or before January 30th, 2025. With the accomplishment report capturing key insights, you're ready to lead impactful sessions. Here are some FAQs to address any remaining questions. Are private school principals and teachers required to conduct the collaborative expertise sessions? It is not mandatory, but we highly encourage private school teachers to participate and lead. Is this CPD accredited? The masterclasses have correspondent CPD points, and the collaborative expertise sessions served as follow-through of the competencies gained. The certificate can be used as part of your self-directed learnings. Can the collaborative expertise guide be used for one learning area or in general? Absolutely. It can be tailored to a specific learning area or applied across multiple disciplines. Ready to dive in? Download the collaborative expertise guide here. Complete your session. Submit the accomplishment report form through this link. If you have more questions or need support, we've got you covered. Here's how you can reach us. Collaborative expertise is more than just a process. It's a pathway to innovation, connection, and growth. Together, we can transform challenges into opportunities and create meaningful impact in education.
Thank you so much. Hello once again. You are still watching our master classes for kindergarten, grade 1, 4, and 7 teachers all across learning areas. And I would like to shout out to our viewers there. We are running to 11,000 plus viewers. Thank you so much for keeping with us today hopefully until the last day of our session, which will be announced later. And of course, now the time has arrived for the moment we have all been eagerly anticipating, and it's time for us to introduce our esteemed resource person for today. We are truly privileged to welcome someone who not only excels in their field, but also who is deeply committed to inspiring growth and progress in education. Our resource speaker is a highly accomplished program specialist, resource person, and academic professional with extensive expertise in reading education, and has dedicated her career to fostering academic excellence through innovative teaching, research, and leadership roles. She is an expert in outcomes based education, balanced literacy programs, and reading remediation strategies. Let us all welcome our first speaker for this session from Philippine Normal University, Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me loud enough? Thumbs up, please. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I cannot share my background. My gadget doesn't allow me to use my background. First off, I'd like to greet everybody. Those in this room only, we have 11,059 and 3,000 reactors. A lot of us in the Philippines now will be learning from each other, and I will be here as a facilitator or perhaps as a guide how things will go given the 3 hours we have for this morning session. I am tasked to talk about English, grade 1, the topic of which is, next slide, please. Strengthening grade 1 learners' language towards improved literacy. I am from the Philippine Normal University, Manila, and serving as your facilitator and key person, key discussants. Let's get started. I'd like to show you the professional standards that this session tries to address. Only the domains 1 and 2 as the focus, but others you could infer perhaps. One is on content knowledge and pedagogy under the strand 1.4, strategies for promoting literacy and numeracy, and 1.7 of our professional standards for teachers, classroom communication strategies. And then under the domain learning environment, I'll be talking about 2.3 strand, which is about management of classroom structure and activities, and 2.4 support for learning participants. Let's get started. There are only 2 key terms that you can see from the title given me. On one hand, it's language. On the other, it's about literacy. Let's try to be on the same wavelength when I discuss these things, okay? Now, let's look at the general views about the relationship, the connection between language and literacy. Next slide will show you, on one hand, there is language, and there are symbols used to reflect here possible views about language and literacy. Okay, the first one is a unidirectional causal relationship between language and literacy. This is one general view held about the link between the two. The second one is also a directional arrow, but this time it is unidirectional causal relationship between language and literacy. And the third is a symbol, equal symbol, saying that language is equal to literacy. When I say equal, it means the growth in language is equal to the growth in literacy. Again, this is the view that is held about language and literacy. Let us go further, explaining language and literacy connection. The unidirectional causal relationship suggests that language leads to literacy. That language is the foundation, and that foundation leads to literacy. Second, it says language influences literacy and vice versa. Literacy is influenced by language. Hence, the growth in one is also leading to the growth in the other. And finally, what it says, your language is your literacy. These are the 3 views held about language and literacy. The next slide will show you what is our pedagogical perspective in this session? When I say pedagogical relationship, I mean this is our stance when we enter the classroom and we teach our students. That we should hold this view about language and literacy. That when we strengthen language, we should improve literacy. And this happens only when we do it purposively, intentionally, deliberately. May I repeat? That happens. That bi-directional causal relationship between the two, causal, yes, happens only when we are purposive, deliberate, intentional in our classroom. Next slide, please. Okay, because we're talking about pedagogy, I'm proposing here a pedagogical perspective which summarizes my session today. I mean, when you enter classroom and you teach growth in language and literacy, these are the things that you must bear in mind. For language and literacy instruction to be successful and effective, I already said this should be purposive, intentional. Okay? We do that by having explicit instruction. Explicit here is not just an adjective describing the kind of instruction, but it is also a noun telling you it is a certain approach that we can do in our teaching. If it is approach, it has its set of steps to follow. Next, another thing that we must consider, no, not yet the slide, sir. Yeah, thank you, is the multimodality. I will explain it later, but bear in mind, perhaps you're asking question. What's the connection of multimodality to multimedia? Another thing that we consider in our teaching. And finally, is the text. When you consider these four elements in your language and literacy instruction, we hope that we come to have a great improvement in language and in literacy simultaneously when done purposively. I've been repeating that, okay? Now, next slide, please. Now, let's understand first what I mean by language in this case, in this session, just so we are on the same wavelength. One, language is a systematic means of communication to convey meaning and express thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Underline systematic, meaning it has its own system, it follows certain organization so that we can communicate to convey our meaning. Next, there are several kinds of language used. Most common is the verbal. Verb means word. Okay? Verbal meaning the use of words. Non-verbal, non-words. Okay? Facial expression, gestures, and other movements are non-verbal languages. And sign languages used in other contexts by other communicators of ideas. On my next slide, okay, this time I'm highlighting the operational definition of literacy. This definition is from a Matatag curriculum on the shaping paper or the shape of our curriculum in language arts. Language arts are referred to reading, English, and Filipino as different subjects, no, for grade 4 in our curriculum. Literacy is defined as not only the ability to read and write meaningfully through language and text. This is the first conventional meaning we have about literacy. But later on, through the expanding, changing contexts and demands, it now includes multiliteracies, covering various means of communication using multimodal texts and multimedia. I'll take note that definition repeats multimodality and multimedia plus text already mentioned in our framework earlier. My next slide, please. Okay, How do we envision this pedagogy, putting together these key ideas in our session today? We're talking about language and literacy and what is our pedagogy. One, I mentioned explicit instruction. There should also be multimedia, multimodal, and the text. These four is anchored on the motivational aspect of each. What I'm saying is that when you do your explicit instruction, make sure it's motivating, not only to you or more than to you, but better for our students. Multimedia should be motivating, multimodal should be motivating, and text should be motivating. Even if you have all these four elements without this aspect of motivation, our instruction may just be mediocre. And the curriculum is not the one that serves as motivating for our students. Who should be motivating in our classroom? Teachers should be, because teachers are the ones delivering explicit instruction, choosing multimedia, using multimodal text. So we ask, considering we have these elements, am I motivating enough? Next slide, please. Our pedagogy highlights motivation using these four elements. Why? According to an article, teachers and actors, let's read together. Students suffer more from bores than from brutes. Allow me to translate this in Filipino. It means, mas kaya ng mga estudyante ang brutal, terror na teacher kesa sa boring na teacher. They cannot stand a boring teacher. They'd rather have a brutal teacher pushing them to the edge, yet inspiring, motivating, engaging, than one who is boring when interacting with them. I hope you remember this. Google it, teachers and actors, it says, our pupils suffer from us when we are boring. They can take us when we are brutal, but seldom when we are boring. That's why I hope we highlight motivating as our key role, delivering our curriculum to our students. Next slide, please. The session objectives for our discussion today. The first is to deepen conceptual understanding of the big ideas in the language arts curriculum. I simply call it L2T, language literacy in text and text, as the big ideas in our framework. Okay? If you read the English curriculum, there are so many explanations offered before you see the listing of competencies. As teachers, mostly we devote our attention to the list of competencies and skip some parts. But I am using the big ideas, L2T, because once you understand this, a lot easier to know how to improve our instruction in the language arts. I underline conceptual understanding. This means diving deeper into our understanding of the big ideas. On the second one, this session aims to make you exhibit knowledge on pedagogical implications of the big ideas of the language arts framework. Meaning, now that you know, how do you try to sink it in when you are in the classroom? And the third is to demonstrate transfer of knowledge and understanding of the framework in planning activities for language and literacy improvement of our grade 1 learners. First one, what you know. Two, how you will use it in your instruction. And third, this time, demonstrate that transfer. Next. Our session flow. I think I already began with my introduction, a bit on the definition. I will show you my outline. Then we proceed to activity list, group, and label, also known as LGL. Analysis, we shall focus on what make language and literacy activities at home and school different. Mostly they are similar, and therefore we focus on differences. And then in our abstraction, what needs to be done to improve language and literacy in school? And how can this be done for our application today? Next, please. Okay, my session outline for the introduction, I cover only 3 major topics. In fact, you can merge topic 2 and 3 put together. So only 2. The language arts big ideas. Language, literacy, and text. Next, the language and literacy development in school from receptive to productive modes. And finally, improving language and literacy learning of children. I use this as our acronym, SMIME-VAT, German sounding SMIME-VAT. Okay, it stands for some words that will help you remember this framework. Go ahead. Let's begin. Ready? Let's dive in. This is an individual task. Let's pretend that you are working on it wherever you are. Let's just try this and do it quick. This individual task is about language and literacy activities at home. So those with last names beginning with A until M in our alphabet, you will work on activities at home. It says you have to list down language and literacy activities at home for grade 1 learners. Okay, so if your surname begins with A, B, C, D until M, your task is to list down language and literacy activities at home for grade 1 learners. Next. But if your surname begins with N till Z, your task is to list down language and literacy activities in school for grade 1 learners. The difference is that first group works on school home environment, and group 2 works on school environment, listing down language and literacy activities. Ready? Let's pretend in 30 seconds, pretend that you are writing and thinking hard, pushing your brain to think and work faster than you have ever done. Go. Time starts now. Okay. Okay. No matter what your answer is, if that is what you think is correct, just go ahead. Just list down. And let's pretend time is up, teachers. It's time to share our answer. Next slide. By the way, okay, I have to explain to you how we do LGL. I'm sorry, I should have not given you time. Anyway, we go back to your listing. LGL activity, it says, 1, you have to list down the activities. Home activities and school activities. Home for first group, school for second group. Next, individually, because you are far from each other, you have to group those in your list that could be put together. Look at your list. What should go together? And then label. Why did you group them into one? What do you think is the label for that group? I'm giving here an example. For example, the activity is to list down, and these are the things listed. Read with me. Pencil, crayons, rose, sampaguita, scissors, garbage, paper, sunflower, gumamela. Okay? This is in the list given. Now, looking at your list, go to the next task to group. Group your list to tell me what goes together. The answer, pencil and crayon, scissors, paper, they go together. Why? What's the label for that? This one talks about school supplies. Another label created is flowers. Why? Rose is a flower. Sampaguita is a flower. Sunflower is a flower. Gumamela is a flower. So that's how you do it. From your list, group. From your group, label. Unfortunately, there is one term that cannot be grouped. It is garbage. Garbage, no grouping. It should stand alone. Okay? Now, go back to your list. You may add some more. Add to the list. Try to categorize your list. Put them together. Group them according to one category. And then write the label for grouping each accordingly. And we're done. Let's pretend you're done. You have busily worked on it. You gave your best. Very good, children. Let's see your output. Next. Okay. This is one sample thrown in by one participant. This is done by a group working on home language and literacy activities. In the list, Teacher A wrote singing, watching TV, listening to radio, counting plates, playing games are samples of home activities that build language and literacy skill. There's no grouping and no labeling yet. Let's continue. Okay, additional in the list, dancing, drawing favorite fruits, matching pairs of slippers, naming objects are some language on one hand, and literacy activities as well, according to the answer given. What are possible grouping that we can have in this? Let's go back one slide. What do you think should go together? Singing could be listening, or it could be oral. Watching TV is oral. No, it's not oral. It's seeing and listening activity. Okay, that's the group perhaps. Listening to radio is listening. Counting plates is what category? Maybe math activity. Playing games could be multi-modes. You do things, you say things, you count things, so different modes. So those are possible groupings that you have. The label too. So you label singing perhaps as oral, watching TV, listening, and viewing. Listening to radio is listening. So counting plates is doing. Playing games is doing. Perhaps that's how you categorize. Next slide. Dancing is doing. Drawing favorite fruit is doing. Matching pairs of slippers, counting. Naming objects could be oral. Now, those are possible labels that you use. Doing, listening, speaking. No more? 3 categories. So this answer suggests at home, the activities for language and literacy could be broken down into doing, speaking, and listening. Could there be more categories? As long as you find a category and you can put that in the label, that could be acceptable. Moving on. So these are home, language, and literacy activities. Move on, please. Now, another teacher gave this answer on school language and literacy activities. 1, tracing objects, listening to audiobooks, watching TV, also present in home activity, reading aloud, using big books. Some more. Grouping objects, chanting and rhyming, role-playing, and pretend plays. Let's categorize. This is in the list. These are, this is not home, sorry. This is school language and literacy activities. Okay. Could there be listening as well as a category? Yes, check. Could there be doing as well? But doing, chanting, and rhyming is speaking, but this time around, very particular. Role playing is doing, pretend plays is doing, and some more. Okay, now what do we see on the categories of activities listed here? Next slide. Not yet. Go back, please. If we compare home activities and school activities, apparently there is a very thin line that differentiates the two. What you see in one is also present in the other. What you see in home language activities could also be present in school language activities. May I just reiterate the idea that in school activity, you are more categorical, more particular, more specific. Secondly, one difference between home and school language is the intentionality, the purpose, the deliberate use of activities. What am I saying? At home, language activities happen more than literacy activities. And language choice is more a pragmatic, natural way, not sequenced. They do language at home as things happen. Okay? They do not plan the language. They use the language because they need it as they do their daily performance. However, in school activities, although you do the same thing, you are more deliberate. You are purposive. You are limited by so many considerations. One, there is a curriculum. That curriculum is written, which is not at home. I wonder if parents write a curriculum for their children. But at school, even when you do the same things, you must see how it matches, how it compares with a curriculum. You have a set of time for each subject. Not possible at home because, as I have said, they do things as they happen. They use language as they happen. In school, we are more deliberate in our choice of language, and to achieve that bidirectionality relationship, your literacy activities should be highlighted, should be purposive, explicitly taught. Highlight that, because as teachers, very little can be done for activities at home. But in school, you have something, you have a power to systematize things. Okay? To look at literacy activities that work along language activities. Language is more natural than literacy. Therefore, in school, we use the language and highlight the literacy that goes with it so that later on we can attain that bidirectional marital relationship between language and literacy. Next, please. Okay, I'm done with the activities. Thank you for participating. Wonderful answers. I love your participation. Okay, now let's talk about the discussion of my topic. This is the crux of the matter, as they say. This is where I give you input, and if you have any questions, just write them down, and there's a mechanism how you can throw them to me. Okay, let's see. The first that I will share with you is the big ideas of the Key Stage 1 curriculum. This just could be a review, but this is where we go back always in this session. How it relates to language, literacy, and text. Okay? These three are the big ideas. For Key Stage 1, the highlight is on literacy. How do you know? It has the biggest circle. Take note that all these three ideas are present in all stages, but with a shifting focus. What do you mean by that? Literacy is for the focus of Key Stage 1, supported by language and text. For Key Stage 2, the focus is language, supported by literacy and text knowledge. On the last stage, what do you think will be the focus? Correct. That's the text. But take note, the text is connected to literacy and language. May I explain this further? Next slide. Okay, look at the visual representation of the big ideas and their interconnection. We are focusing on literacy learning. That's the biggest circle. Using language and text. Therefore, the two are enabling skills, and literacy is the permanent skill that we want our students to learn in Key Stage 1, particularly grade 1, with kindergarten as learning and preparing at the same time. Go ahead. Okay, let's talk about language. Take note that the term now is not MOI. It is using a language as mother of teaching, medium of teaching and learning. We do not teach language directly. Instead, we use language to facilitate the teaching and learning process. That is one reason why language is language, no particular language. Okay, so you use language, whatever language your children bring to the classroom, you use that language as the medium of teaching and learning. And then the text serves as your support to develop language, but this text has to come in multimodal and multimedia forms. Okay, next. Okay, you've been asking, I thought multimedia is the same as multimodal. Yeah, well, there is a very thin line that delineates these two, but they are different. In education, we define multimodal according to our Matatag curriculum. This is the use of multiple modes of communication, interaction, or expression, which could be language, verbal, visual, something seen, auditory, something heard, kinesthetic, something done, haptic, what's this? Haptic is movement and tones. Olfactory is smelling. Okay? In my own words, just so I'm not confused between multimodal and multimedia, for me to know if it's multimodal, I ask what is used to deliver a message. Take note, as a teacher, you have a message. Your message may be delivered choosing any of the following modes: language mode, visual mode, auditory mode, kinesthetic, haptic, olfactory. Haptic is tone, movement. May I clarify? Haptic is tone and vibrations. Kinesthetic is doing, touching. Olfactory is smelling. Therefore, when you deliver a message, meaning you're in the class and you have your lesson, what modes do you use? One, is it only language? You just talk and talk and talk. Visual, you just show and show and show. Auditory, they just listen. They just do. Do you add tone, vibrations? Do you add smell? These are the different ways that you may use to deliver your message. Again, because we are proposing a multimodal delivery, aside from language, you may add kinesthetic, olfactory, visual put together to deliver your message. That is what we mean by multimodal. What about multimedia? Multimedia refers to the integration of multimedia forms of media. Okay, just so I can understand, I translated into a question. I have a message to deliver. What should I use? That answer should be the multimodality. How do I deliver my message now? This refers to using different forms of media to deliver your message. What are examples? Would you like to blog? Would you deliver your message through a CD? No, you are correct. This uses technology. to help you deliver your message. So your message, you use a medium. What you use as medium could be multimodal. How you deliver is the multimedia. Now, that's what I mean by multimodal and multimedia. Ask the question now. Am I multimodal in my teaching? Or do I only use language? Children stand, sit down, up, down. Or do I use visual? Meaning, stand, I do it, they do it. So I have their visual, I have their auditory, and at the same time, I have kinesthetic. By kinesthetic, they do as you do. Put this all together, that is your multimodal. Multimedia, you use your technology to deliver that. You have multimedia and multimodal put together to do explicit instruction in your classroom. Next slide. I'm done with language. This time around, we look at the text as the big idea in our framework. Again, DepEd Matatag curriculum. In here, this is written in the curriculum, and this is from David Crystal, the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Language. Okay. Text knowledge continuum. We define text as the body of spoken or written language with definable communicative functions. It could be literacy, could be news report, environmental print, and text provides the means for communication. Just to clarify, text is not just equal to written. It could also be spoken. They can be written, spoken, visual, everything that they see, multimodal, put together the different modes, and in print or digital online forms. Multimedia. Multimodal text combine language with other means of communication. Yeah, I highlighted that. Visual images, soundtrack, or spoken words, as in film or computer presentation media. Next slide. So text is anything that you use as a stimulus for learning. Text provide important opportunities for learning about aspects of human experience. It helps us guide our students, show their understanding, produce imaginative, informative, and persuasive text, media text, everyday text, and workplace text. David Crystal, the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Language. What a language is? It's a medium for teaching and learning for grade 1, for key stage 1 to be exact. Text could be anything that you use to stimulate the different senses, spoken, written, visual. Next slide, please. Okay, text is one thing that differentiates home and school environment. Why? Home is more natural, more pragmatic, because, again, they read as demanded by their activities. More natural. They do not select, they do not plan. But in school, we plan the texts. And this one serves as our instructional material, mostly. This is one we control. That's what I mean. More controlled is school environment than home environment. And one we control is the text. What about the text? How long should the text be for my grade 1 learners? Pwede na ba? May I use as long as 1,000 words? As long as 2,000? Can I use novels for my grade? Oh no, you control your text. So you ask the question, how long should the print or written text be? Should it be sky is the limit? Quantitatively, consider sentence and word lengths. No, you cannot use all text for children. Control that text, particularly the length. Take note of the basic principles of learning. According to principles of learning, you start from simple text to complex text. You start from short text to long text, from easy text to difficult text. Yes? So for grade 1, you need simple, short, easy, initially kinds of texts. Ma'am, how do I know if it is short, easy, simple? You can use a readability formula in determining text length appropriate for grade level. How? What readability formula? You can use Fry. Okay? Spoiler. I'm teaching you how to do it manually, but there is already an online application to determine readability of your text. Okay? Just Google it. Okay? Because Google has the answer. Next to God. When you ask Google, Google has the answer. Now, let's try Fry. I'll teach you how Fry readability formula is done, or just a review to control the length, okay? As one big idea in our framework. Let's show it. There, thank you, sir. I converted this into a matrix. But if you Google readability, Fry readability formula, Eureka, you will see a graph. To avoid plagiarism and copyright issue, I just converted it into a matrix showing only key stage 1 readability. Again, Google it. Later on, you can find the varying levels and the length of sentences and words appropriate for a grade level. Okay, looking at this one, Fry readability formula, this is US standard, or user of English as a first language. For a grade 1 child, the number of sentences per set of 100 words, get 3 sets of words of 100 words, get the average, count that, and so on. Okay, for grade 1, your sentence should be 10 to 25 sentences. Meaning, if you have 10 sentences, that's good for grade 1. 25 sentences, good for grade 1. Beyond that, sentence length is not for grade 1 anymore. Not only the length of a sentence, you also consider the length of the syllables given the words. You count the number of syllables per 100 words, and if the count leads you to 108 to 116, that's for grade 1. For grade 2, 7 to 9 sentences, 117 to 120 syllables of the words. And for grade 3, shorter sentences, but longer syllables, longer words. I'll give you an example, okay? Go ahead, next slide. Okay, so far we have 63,000 views. And there are 12,000 comments already. I'm sorry, I cannot attend to your comments. But take note that they're being recorded and we shall respond to them later on. Go back one slide first, sir. There. We look at grade 1. You are grade 1 teachers and we are controlling the text to provide our students in school. At home, we don't know what they do. Maybe they read, but they do not control the text. Let's control it in our grade 1 classroom. Again, for grade 1, you can have 10 to 25 sentences, 108 to 116 syllables given the 100 words. Let's consider this example. Next slide. There. I have given you a text. It's titled The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf. We are already familiar with this story. I'm just using it as an example. I will not read anymore for the sake of time. I'm just showing you this is an actual text. When I count the number of sentences, by the way, there are only 105 words. So I got only one set of words. Given 105 words, there are 8 sentences and there are 132 syllables. Okay, take note. We're looking at sentences and syllables. Fry simply says the longer the sentences, the harder it is, the higher level it should be used. The longer the syllables, The more difficult, the higher level it should be given. Next slide. We're controlling the text. I am analyzing it using the Fry formula, the boy and the wolf. To get the readability, 1, get a sample of 3 sets of 100 words from a text. Again, that text has only 105 words, so I counted the number of words. There are 2 sets with 100 words, not only 1 but 2. When you count the number of sentences in that passage, there are 2 sets. Set A has 8 sentences. Set B has 8 sentences. Okay, 8. If it is 8, go back to the matrix. Is it for grade 1 or not? Next, count the number of syllables per set of 100 words. For 8 sentences, there are 115 syllables per set. On the second set, there are 132 counts. Get the average. So what's the average sentence? There is 8 plus 8 divide 2 equals 8 sentences. And count the syllable. Get the average of the syllable. 115 on the first set, 132 on the second. When you add, you get 247. You divide into 2. The total is 123.5. Let's now look at the matrix to get the grade level of the text. There are 8 sentences, 123.5. Therefore, when you use the matrix, okay, let's show the matrix, sir. Hindi pa yan. Go back. Yan. 108 sentences. For grade 1, okay. Grade 1 says 10 sentences. What can you say? Sentence-wise, this is for lower grade. Okay? Because there are only 8. Are we right? There are 8 sentences. This is not for grade 1 because grade 1 says there must be 10. Yes, ma'am. You want to say something?
Hello po, ma'am.
Hello.
Is it okay we'll have our health break po muna before we will run the next session?
Sure. So hold on. Hold the thought, please. The Boy and the Wolf has 8 sentences and 123 syllables. The question is it appropriate for grade 1? Let's take a health break and answer afterwards when we return. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, Doc Gutierrez. But of course, we will be back. I know that you're very excited to hear more of Dr. Gutierrez talk. Let's suspend first for a 5-minute health break. And of course, this is the great time to grab a snack for everybody or simply take a moment to recharge. We want to make sure that everyone is refreshed and ready to fully engage for the rest of the session. We will be back shortly, so please take your time and we'll resume after 5 minutes. See you in a bit.
Okay, play. Viewers.
The festive season is upon us, bringing with it the spirit of joy, hope, and giving. This Yuletide season, we in the National Educators Academy of the Philippines are delighted to share with you a special present. One that does not come wrapped in glittering papers or tucked under a bushy tree, but rather a gift of knowledge, growth, and innovation. Ergo, allow us to invite you to unwrap this gift of learning through our master classes for kindergarten and grades 1, 4, and 7 teachers across all learning areas. This nationwide endeavor aims to support teachers by providing the relevant skills and knowledge to effectively implement the Department of Education's revised curriculum and incessantly improve student learning outcomes. Join the whole country and let us make this holiday season even more meaningful together. Whether you are a seasoned mentor or a teacher just starting out, these virtual engagements are our way of saying thank you for your passion, perseverance, and unwavering dedication to the present and future of our Filipino learners. Maligayang Pasko, mga gurong Pilipino! Ako si Director Jennifer Lopez ng National Educators Academy of the Philippines na nag-aanyaya sa inyo na kami ay samahan sa isang linggo ng walang maliw na dalisaya ng dunong at pandaya ng kakayahan para sa ating mga bata at sintang bayan. Maging isa sa ating master classmates ngayong Nobyembre 25 hanggang 29. Tara na! Ang NEAP bilang isang acronym ay nagtataglay ng napakaraming kahulugan at posibilidad. NEAP can mean nurturing educators' abilities and professionalism, emphasizing the team's mission to develop teacher skills and build their confidence in the profession. Or national excellence in academic performance, where NEAP aims to uplift the quality of education by ensuring that teachers are fully equipped to foster outstanding student achievements. Or navigating educational adaptations and progress, focusing on NEAP's role in guiding teachers through the evolving landscape of education, especially in embracing new teaching methods and technologies. Or in Filipino, nararapat na edukasyong ayon sa pamantayan, which translates to proper education according to standards, highlighting NEAP's dedication to maintaining high-quality education aligned with national or international benchmarks. But beyond these acronyms, the true essence of NEAP, the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, lies in its unwavering commitment to the professional growth of teachers and school leaders in our country. Sa loob ng maraming taon, nanguna ang NEAP sa pagbibigay suporta sa mga guro sa pamamagitan ng dekalidad ng mga programa gaya ng subject content training programs, master classes, scholarships for teachers, school leaders at maging sa school-based professional development activities. Whether it is through upskilling teachers and school leaders with innovative strategies, helping them adapt to the latest educational trends, or fostering a community of continuous learning, NEAP has been ensuring that our teachers are not just prepared, but are also motivated to give their best in every classroom.
Right, maligayang pagbabalik sa lahat. Naway nakapagpahinga kayo ng maayos at handa na para sa continuation ng ating session for today. But before that, let me read some comments here sa ating chat box. Well, from Ma'am Renji Osimar, good morning. Watching from Mapolod Elementary School, is it? From SDO. We also have audience from SDO Iloilo, from Daraitan Elementary School, from Ipil Central School, Ormoc City. We also have from San Juan Andres. Oh, the comments are really fast moving. And thank you so much po for sticking with us until 12 po tayo ngayon. So just listen to all the concepts or knowledge for today. Or you're still watching from Butuan City. Hi po sa lahat ng mga taga Butuan City. From Rosel Lopez. Hi po, Ma'am Rosel. We also have from SDO Sarangani Integrated School, Biangan. Is this Biangan? Hi po, Ma'am. Thank you for watching. And we also have from Quezon Elementary School. Hi po. Watching from SDO Caraga. Hi po sa lahat ng mga taga SDO Caraga. And thank you again, muli. Thank you so much for watching this streaming, and of course, hopefully you are learning so much from this session. I will be turning you over once again to our resource speaker for strengthening grade 1 learners' language towards improved literacy. Let's again give the floor back to Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez. No, while we are still waiting for Ma'am Gutierrez, we have another shout out to SDO Batangas. Hello po. We also have from Das Marinas Elementary School watching. Thank you so much. We also have from Saavedra Elementary School, from Ma'am Marilyn. Thank you so much po for watching. And we have from SDO Calamba City, and SDO Misamis Occidental, Jimenez Central School. Thank you so much. We also have San Dionisio Elementary, Deped tayo San Jose Elementary School. Thank you so much, Ma'am Anchosa. Ma'am Anchosa. Ang bilis ng mga comments. Thank you so much. Keep on commenting. We'll just be looking into your comments, and of course, if you have questions later, you can also post your questions at the comment box so we can cater to your questions later. And again, this master classes for kindergarten, grade 1, 4, and 7 teachers will be until Friday of this week. So keep in touch and stay tuned. And of course, we'd like to make a shout out also to the South District Division of Lanao del Norte. Hello po. We also have from SDO Calamba City, Mayapa Elementary School. Hello po, Maricel. And we also have from SDO Davao City. Thank you so much for watching. Dami nating view sa Lanao del Norte. Thank you so much po from Lanao del Norte. We also have from Banzarville Elementary School, Kapatagan, West District, Division of Lanao del Norte. Hello po, Ma'am Divina. From Davao de Oro City, thank you so much. From Gintas Elementary School, hello po. Kankuhoy Elementary School, is it? From Batangas Province, thank you po. Hello po, we're still waiting for Dr. Gutierrez to get in. Ayan, I think Ma'am Gutierrez is now ready. Shoutout po sa lahat ng ating grade 1 teachers, and hopefully you will learn a lot from this session. master classmates. I hope you're still around while we are still waiting for Doc Gutierrez to get in. Hello po, Doc. You're now seen.
Hello.
Audio mo, Doc. Okay na, Doc.
Sige.
Right, let me give the floor once again to our resource speaker, Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez.
Hello? Okay, can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Mama Army, can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
audible? Okay, I'll continue. Thank you, Mama Army.
Yes po, Doc.
Yes, sorry for some technical glitches. I don't want you to wait that long, but perhaps it has given you time to consider your answer going back. Let me just review. In school, everything we do is deliberate. We do not imitate the environment, the natural environment of our home when we want to be deliberate in our literacy activities. So we try to control, to systematize. What we control is the kind of text. Not all texts are good for grade 1. What kind then, and how do I determine? 1, text-wise. Face validity. When I say face validity, what you see on the surface, just the sentences and words. You can use readability formula by Fry. Have you Googled it? Did you see? Did you see the graph? If you look at it first time, that's quite complicated. But I tried to simplify and I use the matrix here. It has the same. Okay, only a different form to avoid copyright problem. Okay, for grade 1, how many sentences per 100 words? 10 to 25 allowable. How many number of words? 108 to 119 syllables. Just counting. And the result says there are 8 sentences. The Boy and the Wolf, 8. That is for grade 2 sentence length. Because 7, 8 to 9, hindi siya pwede for grade 1. Mahaba daw. Number of syllables, there are 123.5 syllables. For what grade level is that? 123 is for grade 3. In short, let's go back one slide. Go back one slide. Can we? There you go. Okay. Another slide. Next. No. Move on. There, that's it. Some more. There. Next. This is, we now have to consider number 5. You got the matrix, and the matrix says there are 8 sentences, 123.5 syllables. The grade level of the text is 2 on sentences and 3 on syllables. Now, is it appropriate for grade 1? Your decision? This is not for grade 1. It's too long. There are a lot of syllables. So what's your decision? Are you going to use that? Yes, but only if you modify or adapt. How do we do that? Palitan nyo yung text nyo, paikliin nyo yung sentences, pili kayo ng mga words na mas madaling maintindihan kasi mas konting syllables. Yun ang sabi ng Fry. Move on. Next slide, please. That means Fry readability formula, intentionally used for US, originated from US, may not be applicable for Filipino texts in English. So here is the adjustment of readability, Fry readability, that we can use for ESL learners. We are English as second language learners. Now, we try to modify. We adapt. First off, we could adapt our readability. Okay, for grade 1, this is now the adjustment, modification. I hope you're still with me. For grade 1, according to Fry, there should be 10 to 25 sentences. We lower it down. For Filipino texts in English, we could have 8 to 15 sentences. For number of syllables, we lower it down. Instead of Fry 108 to 126, we lower it from 98 to 106. And then we adjust And what's the main difference between the adjusted and the original fry? The difference is that we have 2 sentences less and we have 10 syllables less. Mas marami sa Ingles na sentence, mas maraming syllables, pero sa Filipino, mas konti ang sentences. Para sa grade 1, less 2. Kaya 8 to 15. Kasi ang fry 10 to 25. Ang syllables niya ay less by 10. So sa fry 108, ginawa nating 98. Okay. That's how we adjust. Balikan nyo ngayon. You go back to the boy who cried wolf. There are 8 sentences. Swak sa banga. Okay? 8 sentences for grade 1. And what about the number of sentences, of syllables? There are 123.5 syllables. Pasok na siya. Pasok na siya pang grade 1. Ang ibig kong sabihin, hindi pasado sa US readability fry original. Nung i-adjust natin, ay pwede na. Pero, kung gusto nyo pa rin mag-adjust, paikliin pa natin ang mga sentences at pumili pa tayo ng mga synonym, synonymous words na mas maikli at mas madali yatang maintindihan. Yun kayo mag-a-adapt ng inyong instructional materials, particularly texts. Ulitin ko, not all texts may be used for grade 1. You control the text. Number of sentences and number of words, use fry or the modified fry. Next slide, please. You may try this out. You may try this readability formula in school during your moments of solitude. Nagpapahinga na kayo pero yung utak nyo, ang haba naman ng text na ito. Sandali. Yan. Pwede nyong kontrolin ang text. Okay. Moving on about text. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, as regards text, in our language literacy framework of the language arts curriculum, the curriculum, again, you can find it in Matatag curriculum. There is already recommendation on the type of text that you can use for children. Actually, this one cuts across K to grade 12 kinds of text. If you analyze this visual, you can see that on the upper part is literary, down there is informational, and the horizontal line here tells you the level appropriate given the text. What does it suggest? For K1, there should be more literary and less informational texts. For grade 12, there should be more informational text and less literary. Are you there? Meaning for grade 1, I should have 70-30 percentages of kinds of text. My text should be more literary, 70, and less informational. Let's see the next slide. Okay, the curriculum has this for you as guide. The text type for grade 1 could be more literary than informational. 70% literary and 30% informational. What does it mean? More on stories, more on poems, chants and rhymes, nonsense verbs than information. How to give birth, the death of a star, not a lot on informational kind of text, but more on literary. So your literary text could be prose and poetry, which addresses the imaginative, creative level than the information, memory, cognitive type of text. Informational could be factual and expository, informative. There could be 30%, but more of our prose, poetry, for imaginative activities of our children. Next. Okay, there should be more stories and poems. The Boy and the Wolf. You want to tell it orally? Fine. You want to tell it like an book reading? No? Reading aloud. Shared reading? Yes. Poems. More short, simple text. How short? How many sentences? For a full text, 8 sentences. For a simple text, only 3 to 5 words per sentence. Longer than that, not good, no, for our children. And then, it should be more relatable to personal topics. What do I mean by that? The curriculum has the expanding identity as our context in teaching our students. It always begins for Key Stage 1, moving on to Key Stage 12, from personal, no, moving on to regional, to national context, moving on to continental, to global context. What am I saying this? When I get a text, I make sure that this has something to do with personal experiences of students, which is more relatable to them. For higher level, I could use global context of my text. Okay, I will not talk about the higher level. So personal and maybe later on regional, if you can still tackle it. But for grade 1, better to stick to personal context of our students. Next slide. So, is this text appropriate for grade 1? Trees by Joyce Kilmer. You can all recite it, right? I think that I shall never see poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breasts, and many more. Or the poem, All Things Bright and Beautiful. It's a poem. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures, great and small, and many more. Or the story, the first two are poems, The Wind and the Sun. Okay, what do we think? Are they appropriate? Let's try. Just be with me here. Next slide. Here's a copy of Trees. Ano daw gagawin nyo para malaman nyo, pambata o pangmatanda? Pang grade 1 o hindi? Count the number of words, number of sentences, and look at the matrix. While you're counting, let me read Trees by Joyce Kilmer. I think that I shall never see poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. And I already counted it. There are 6 sentences, apparently. 1 stanza, 1 couplet is equal to 1 sentence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, 6 couplets. There are 92 words all in all. Let's look at our Fry readability formula. 6. This is not for grade 1. The length is so long. The length of the sentences. Dapat daw ay mga 8 lang na sentences. Number of syllables. There are 92 syllables. Pang anong grade yun? Balikan nga natin, sir. Ang readability. Yan. Kung gagamitin ko itong in-adjust for ESL, there are only 6 sentences of trees, not for grade 1. Kasi 6 lang siya, 8 daw to. Number of syllables, there should be 98, 92 lang siya. Hindi pang grade 1. Okay, let's show now the poem again. Ibig sabihin, ma'am, I cannot use it for my grade 1? Have you been using it? Yes. But mom, it does not follow the readability formula, the original Fry, nor the adjusted for ESL learners. What do I do? This is where you do multimodality, multimedia. Multimodality, don't just read. Read with expression, have some visuals, act out. That's multimodal. You have language, you're reciting it. You have facial expression, expressing the emotion. You could have pictures to support. Okay, you are now multimodal, 3. And then multimedia. Maybe you can use technology to show trees. Okay? Show, may sensor lang dito, no? A tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast. Naku, huwag kayo magpakita ng breasts. Diba? Medyo, another level ito. It uses figurative language. You can use technology to help you. Now you are multimodal and multimedia, despite the fact that seems to be a bit harder according to readability. Maybe this can help you deliver your lesson well by using multimodal, multimedia, explicit instruction for grade 1 learners. Repeat. Readability, not applicable. But because you are the teacher controlling how to expose your students, what experiences to provide, what multi-modes can be used, and so on, your readability may be offset by those support. Next, please. Go on, I should say. Okay, now, all things bright and beautiful, just Google the copy. I already analyzed that poem has 5 stanzas. Again, apparently in poetry, a sentence could be the stanza itself. So there are 5 sentences, there are 5 stanzas, there are 129 syllables. For grade 1 or not? Readability says no. But because you think this is okay, how do you attack the problem with readability, which is face validity, superficial, right? Total, ang binibilang lang naman niya, sentences and words. Kung gagamitin ko to, bagamat hindi pasado, gagalingan ko ang delivery ko. Para yung hirap ng text, ma-offset ng multimodality. I-recite ko ng maganda. Hindi all things bright and beautiful. The Lord God made them. The wind. Hindi siguro ganon, no? You have rhythm and rhyme, meter, musical aspect of poetry. So you read it well, you provide instruction, support, visual, you have your action. Baka gusto nyo meron pang alatunog ng background music ng trees, dancing trees. That's where you have multimedia presentation, audio, video, animation. Now, this is one way to mitigate that problem with readability. What about the wind and the sun? You know the story. The wind and the sun were arguing who is better. Payabangan sila. Ako yan. No matter the version, this version I found. Next slide, please. I'm showing you this version. I did not show everything anymore. I just cut it. This is only for illustration. Okay? The wind and the sun are having a disagreement. I am the most powerful, says the wind. No, I am the most powerful, says the sun. I can blow trees to the ground, brags the wind. I can push ships across the ocean. I can make hurricanes and tornadoes. Is that right? Replies the sun. Well, I can melt. I can melt all the snow on the mountain. I can dry up an entire lake. I can make a sidewalk so hot that it cooks an egg, and many more. This is just the first part. When I counted everything, there are 42 sentences and 120 syllables given 100 words. 42 sentences for grade 1? Ang haba. 120 syllables? Pasok sana ang syllable. Medyo mahirap din, pero ang daming sentences. Sabi kasi mula 10 to 25 or 8 to 15. Hindi pasado. Pero gusto nyo tong kwentong to Okay. Ito, pwede nyo paikliin yung kwento, palitan yung ibang mga salita, alisin yung ibang detalye, at multimodal, multimedia presentation, pwede na for grade 1. That's how we control the text for our children in grade 1. Next slide, please. Okay. Using this readability formula, there are 42 sentences. Ang haba niya for grade 1. There are 20 syllables per 100. Naku, hindi pa din pasado sa grade 1. Marami pala tayong gagawin para pwede nating gamitin. Don't get me wrong. Ma'am, hindi pwede the wind and the sun. Pwede basta may adjustment ka sa text at sa delivery mo, multimodal and multimedia. To make it motivating, engaging, purposively, intentionally, deliberately presented to our children. Next. Now, we go to the heart of the matter. I'm almost done. Maybe I need to slow down. How do we strengthen language for the literacy improvement of our children? Earlier in our activity, I made you list down activities at home and activities in school. Then you categorized. You recall our categories? Could it be doing activity, listening activity, speaking activity? Now, where do we classify those activities? From UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning in 2017, I am giving you the references. You may want to visit and learn more, dive deep into explanations of these practices. There are 5 important classifications of literacy practices for our children. To strengthen our language for literacy development of our children, we could have a balance of oral and visual practices. 2, we could have numeracy practices. 3, reading and writing practices. 4, new technology practices. And 5, leisure activities. Your mind might be wondering, of all my activities, where do they fall? Which activities mostly have the following practices? Okay, let's try to answer. Next slide. Okay, for example, I have this activity for you. Again, oral and visual practices, numeracy practices, reading and writing practices, new technology practices, and leisure activity practices. I assume you don't have any question about these practices. When we say oral and visual, oral for talking, visual for seeing. Numeracy has something to do with counting. Reading and writing with the text and jotting down. Using a pen to jot down, to write down. New technology using information and communication technologies available, accessible to children. Do they have cell phone, television, what else? What other gadgets could be available? I suppose cell phone is a given now among parents and teachers because teachers would create a group for parents of one section and send messages for quicker, faster response. Perhaps majority of our parents have. If none, that could be a challenge. But it is a no-no if you do not expose your pupils or your children to new technology. Why? Because that's the trend. With pandemic or not, but more so when we had a pandemic, that communication gadget has helped us survive and continue with education. So it's quite wrong to say no TV in the classroom. Wrong to say no gadget in the classroom. Turn off your, maybe there should be ways how we can integrate this technology positively, advantageously, and not to the detriment of learning. Okay? We encourage that we already involve our students into using technology. Aba, pag hindi, mahuhuli sila. They belong to this generation where they are born with technology just at the tip of their hands. Oh, maybe this may not be true for rural impoverished, but I wonder how we expose children to new technology, because UNESCO already suggests use of technology is already a right, not just a privilege. And then leisure activities. If they are clear to you, will you now answer this matrix? Let's reflect on our own practices. There is no right or wrong answer. You just have to tell me which of the following practices are the most that you use in the classroom and which are the least. Please check the column. Do you have most oral and visual? Least often you use reading and writing? And then you may give sample activities of the most often that you do. Maybe one sample for the most often. I'll give you time to answer. Maybe 1 minute. Stand by there and push your brain to think fast. Given only 1 minute, as many as sample activities, or just one, after ticking the appropriate column. You are answering which of these are most often used in my classroom. Which are the least often that I use? And then give sample of the most often. Of course, you may not be able to think right away of the least often because it's least. But think of the most often activities or practices that you do in the classroom. Go ahead. 1 minute starts now. And we have a timer. Wow. Let me just share with you. There are already, as of 10:25 today, we have 228,000 viewers. Hooray! Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned from it. Well, if you cannot absorb everything, that's fine. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Thank you for participating. There are already 27,300. 27,000. How do I read this number now? 27,300 reaction. I do not know what your reaction is. I hope they are quite positive. I hope it's a bit inquisitive and encouraging as well. And there are already 1.8 shares. The more shares that you do, the more challenging it becomes, and we are happier when you do share, because we cannot contain knowledge. Knowledge is meant to be shared. We're sharing this with you. Keep on sharing, throwing in your question. Okay, time is up. Now I can see. According to Mom Jessica Dizon Mendoza, Hello, ma'am. Your most often used is oral and visual. The least often used, leisure activities. How do I interpret that? I can understand oral and visual, but least often used is leisure. In the classroom, less leisure activities. Why? Is it pressure activity? Rather than leisure for grade 1, more pressure than leisure. Ma'am, no time for leisure. Always pressure, pressure, pressure. There are so many things I need to teach in the curriculum. And many, many, many more. I lack time for leisure. There has to be pressure. Listen to UNESCO. You are given this time. You are controlling your time. Your control indicates your priority. There should be leisure activity if you want students not only to be language users, but literate as well. That could be a challenge, but not impossible. Thank you, Ma'am Mendoza, for sharing this answer. Are there some more? Oh, from Mary Grace Kasuko. Thank you. Reading and writing is your most often used. But new technology is the least often used. I love it. If it's reading and writing, that is gearing towards literacy. Oo, kasi walang literacy kung walang reading and writing. Kung panay oral lang, oral language lang yun, hindi yun literacy. Kaya nga ang tawag doon, oracy. Pag literacy, mas dinedevelop natin yan sa classroom. Bakit, ma'am? Ang oracy, dapat sa bahay pa lang na-develop na eh. May mother tongue na yan, nag-e-express na yan. Sa classroom, it should be more of literacy, academic demand of learning to read and write. Kay Ma'am Grace Kasuko, nako, ang challenge niya ay new technology. Wherever you are, ma'am, I don't know the limitations, the connectivity, bandwidth, internet issue. I hope we try to creatively, innovatively address such. Kahit realia lang ng malaking image, malaking picture ng cellphone, malaking, para lang kunyari ay may exposure sila sa technology kung talagang wala. Kung meron, you allow time in your classroom to navigate, press something, go to this, go, so that more or less they are adjusted. Alam niyo sa PISA kasi, computer-based ang exam. Sa atin, hindi pa lahat nagko-computer-based. Wala ngang computer yung ibang school eh. So there could be problems with navigation. Alam niyo, pag first time, kahit medyo sanay ka, pero ngayon mo lang mai-apply sa test. First time mong mag-i-exam sa test, baka medyo challenge yun. Anyway, thank you, ma'am. Think creatively how you can address this. Next. One more. Karen May Villanueva de la Torre. Oral and visual is the most. Second time na yan. List is new technology. Sometimes leisure activities because of the number of minutes per subject. That's it. Very well explained, Ma'am May. Karen May Villanueva. Okay, apparently of the three, the most often used is oral and visual. Nadagdag si ma'am na may reading writing siya. Yon, mas literacy yon, no? Pero ang challenge is leisure and technology. Alam nyo na ibig sabihin yan. Mag-infer kayo. Tingnan nyo, how do you extrapolate such data? Okay, I'll give you a sample here. Which of the following practices are the most and the least done in the classroom? Check the column. This is given by Teacher B. Most often used by Teacher B is oral and visual. There is also numeracy. But Teacher B has more least often used answers than the most often. The least often used are reading and writing, new technology, and leisure activities. I hope you submit your data here so we can do a simple frequency count, median, mode of the responses, and we can draw a national picture of some areas of exposure lacking in the classroom. Teacher B says The sample activity most often done is oral and visual TV viewing. Nanood, nakinig, pero may oral, baka may tanungan portion si teacher. Okay? Okay pa din. However, if your tanong is, sino ang karakter? Kailan ang ganap? Baka dapat, our question should be more of the emotional responses of our children. What part do you like? Tell me the character you like most and why. Baka may ganon si teacher, no? Kaya siya nasa viewing, oral and visual. Marami din si Teacher B ng numeracy. Counting, play, money. Very good. Kaya lang, hindi ko alam kung may coins na play money. Merong plastic siguro. Okay, counting, paper money, play money. I don't know. I can only imagine. But that these two are the most commonly used. Teacher B, sabi niya, reading and writing, no explanation. Kulang siya dito. Kasi 40 minutes lang, ma'am, sa reading. Tapos pasusulatin ko pa. Hindi pa nga ako tapos sa writing na. New technology. Wala daw siyang technology in the room. Hindi kita mabibigyan. Pero what I mean, do you have TV? Simplest. Do you have radio? Yes. Sana meron. Kung wala, bring your own ba ito? Or ano ba to? SOP. Is it an SOP now of DepEd that at least you have one TV in your classroom and you have a radio, you have internet connection at least in your computer room, interactive, audiovisual room, and many more? Wala ka lang activity for that, hindi mo naisip, pwede pala yun, no? Nasa klase ko. Today, dito muna kami sa library, exposure lang muna. And leisure activities, yon. Sabi ni teacher kanina, we lack time, 40 minutes lang po. But I am not the one suggesting this, take note. UN Institute for Lifelong Learning, as early as grade 1, make sure they know the value of reading emotionally. This should be for pleasure and not pressure. Because the reading is the first R. It is the first right in school that children learn to read. This is their right. And they can learn it in the most engaging, motivating manner with leisure rather than pressure activity. Yeah, we couple the two. Because according to brain-based learning, hindi pwedeng panay leisure, walang pressure. Hindi pwedeng panay pressure, walang leisure. For young learners, hindi dapat balance. Dapat more of leisure and less of pressure. Parang the text type. Moving on, more pressure because they already know how to do it. More pressure. And that pressure can turn into leisure to accomplish the 3 purposes for teaching reading. We teach them to learn to read. 1. That's their right. 2, we teach them read to learn. That is so they can continue reading. Some students know how to read but do not like to read. That's a literacy, and that is a more pressing problem now. And the 3rd, that they should continue reading pleasurably. Sadly, according to an author, many students do not love to read anymore. They know how to read, but they don't love reading. Killing it after a grade level is slowly having less motivation as they go up the academic ladder. Nagsimula sila grade 1, gusto nila magbasa sana Kaya tuwan-tuwa sila sa libro, kaya lang ang hirap mag-decode. Nung tumanda na sila, marunong na sila, ayaw naman nila magbasa. We balance these 3. Learn to read, read to learn, and to love reading. That's why we expose our students to these literacy activities using the language. Yes, we can language, but do we purposely add there the literacy part? Next. Here are sample language and literacy activities in the classroom. Okay? Bahala na kayo mag-categorize ha. Tingnan natin. Sharing word plays. Sharing jokes and riddles. Decoding directions together. Making my book. Comparing lengths of names. Using print environment. Okay, I will just explain each kung medyo hindi kayo sigurado anong ibig sabihin ng sharing word plays. Alam nyo ba yung kantang Let's do Tony. Tony, Tony, papone, banana, pana, papone, being pie. Tony, pony, bony, loney, and many more could be word plays. What's the play there? The ni. Apparently, a bit of a rhyme, an end rhyme. No, are some word plays. Or you may have the tongue twister. Create your own. Of course, you know, Pizza Piper picks a peck of pickled pepper. Or she sells seashells. Create your own. You don't need to have this. Contextualize it. You want to begin with word plays. Have an alliteration. My mommy makes many moon-shaped cookies. And Marunko approach says, this is the first sound that they can learn. The M-S-A-I-O. The first few letters with the sounds may be the exposure of our students. And then they can put together, create their own words already. Huwag nyo nang patapusin muna lahat ng alphabet bago pa sila mag-create. Pag meron na silang they can combine mas, pasulat nyo na. Pabuuin nyo na. Huwag muna, tapos mo na alphabet, ma'am. Tapos mo. Hindi. We teach by snippets. Meaningful experiences for our students. Share word plays. My mother makes moon-shaped cookies. Invent your word plays. Or the vowels. Tame, lame, game, wane, and many more. Create them into sentences, deliver in fun, chanting, rhyming words, could be exposure to build oracy and literacy. Sharing jokes and riddles, maybe mga ano ba ang riddles? Bugtong. In Filipino, in English, but perhaps we know more of Filipino. Isang prinsesa nakaupo sa tasa. Ate mo, ate ko, ate ng lahat ng tao. Ano kaya yon? Di ba? More of pleasure and then later on, putting in a bit of pressure. Ate, ate, ate. Ano kayang sagot? Atis. O ganun lang. Bakit atis? Ate, ate, atis. Ate mo, ate ko, ate ng lahat ng tao, atis. Jokes and riddles. Okay? Decoding directions together. For example, written here is male, female. So, show the picture. Point to the picture. Male. So, CR, male here. Female, female for a girl here. We read, decode directions together. Throw trash here. Show the directions. Throw trash here. Read together. Let's read together. Kung nyo sabihin, ma'am, di pa sila nakakabasa. Kaya mo nga tinuturuan. You learn to dance by dancing. You learn to read by reading. Reading naturally what is present in the environment. When you point to the word and you say it aloud and you make your students look at that word, repeatedly expose. Later on, they don't need you anymore. They will say, throw trash here. Throw trash here. You could also have making my book. Take note, personal, talking about themselves. Children today, do your book. Let's fold this paper, draw picture about yourself, and then tell me later on. The drawing serves as the language and they use it, put together, bind, stand, share your book. My book. My hands, my feet, my eyes, my heart. Just like that. Comparing lengths of names. Okay, children, I know your name. Martha, Mary, Avelino. Let's count. Martha, 2. Mary, 2. Avelino, 4. Whose name is the longest? Avelino. Count the syllable, clap, and know which one is long, which is short. Okay? Love, only 1. Lover, 2. Lovingly, 3. Which one is long and the longest? Without even showing the words first. Just making them aware of the phonological knowledge. Phonological knowledge. It has something to do with the oral language and knowing the number of syllables, counting, segmenting, deleting, substituting. Part of phonological awareness activity. So comparing lengths of name. My name is Ruth. Ruth. Isa lang yun. Mary. Mary. 2. Whose name is longer? Yes. You hear only 1 syllable. There are 2 syllables on the other. Then using print environment. The environment where your students are, and there are something written around them, something seen, something that can be heard, may be used. Alam na alam yung sample. Yung McDo, alam nila McDo kasi may M. Kahit di pa nila alam na pala yun. Jollibee, makita nila yung masayang lumilipad, nabubuyog. Jollibee, they now know that something is used to represent a sound. Hindi nyo pa sinasabi kung anong nire-represent. Basta ayan yung nababasa nila in their environment. For your grade 1, most particularly perhaps when you do your 8-week curriculum. When they are just but new, this is your first quarter, and these are the things that you want them to have as part of your literacy activity. Continue. Sample language and literacy activities in the classroom. Sharing word plays. This time they will be the one to share their own. Doing storytelling. Yes, meaning you do the telling of the story. Aba, ibig sabihin nito, dapat marami kayong alam na kwento. Minsan, yung mga bata din ang magkukwento. Ang classroom nyo ay maraming kwentuhan at maraming sharing, lalo galing sa mga bata. That is the theory of whole language approach. Whatever you teach in the classroom comes from your students' language. So they need to be talking a lot, sharing, and that becomes your input for teaching them what language focus for today. Playing memory games. Okay? How to recall, looking at the pattern which follows first. Short, tall, blank, what follows? Could be looking at the patterns to test their memory. They could have role playing. You are the duck and you are the ugly duckling. We are the followers. Okay? Ikaw yung nagsasabi ng quack, quack, quack. Diba? Ikaw yung leader. Paano ba yung duck? Paano yung quack, quack? Or telling their own story. Tell us about your birthday. Sige, walang basagan muna ng trip. Kung anong kwento niya, wag nyo nang sabihin hindi totoo o totoo. Bakit? Imaginative, creative. For children. And then, the actual reading, meaning getting a book, looking at the signs, reading the labels, analyzing icons, showing pictures directly found in the text. Do not withhold the actual text for our grade 1 learners. Next. Ang dami pa eh. And you can think of your own. Labeling objects. Editing and revising. Anak, ikaw ba talaga to? Ang tangkad. Gusto mong paliitin? Okay. Sa drawing. Writing together. Form small groups. They create stories. Assign them. Anak, ikaw susulat. Ikaw ganito kwento. Collaborative. Sentence building. I'll start with a sentence. Add. I love eating fruits. Ikaw naman. Ikaw naman. Until you have. And then rhyming and chanting. Okay? I see the moon. The moon sees me. Over the mountains. Under the sea. Could be the chant. There should be something musical for children. No? Rhyming. It could be the end rhyme. The o, 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 o. Tao, opo. Paano po? O. Rhyming sa dulo. Pwede din sa gitna. Ang rhyme nyo. Or chanting, having a bit of music. No? And tempo. When you say something. Tara na, mga bata. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. And some more. Okay. There are so many activities. Ang gusto ko pala sanang sabihin, if we go back. Yan. Sige, sirs. Sige pa. Okay, yan na muna. Thank you. Ang ibig kong sabihin, ma'am, ang sharing word plays, is it an oral and visual activity? Yes. Eh di man panay oral and visual lang kami. O di dagdagan natin ng leisure activities yung oral and visual nyo. Eh di lagyan kaya natin ito ng writing activity. Although sharing word plays, may writing ka na rin. What do I mean? Lahat nung all the 5 categories of language and literacy activities may be put together into one activity that you have. For example, you have telling a story. Telling is speaking. Eh di oral lang yun, ma'am. Sige, how do we make it visual? Anak, act out. While you are telling, you may act out. Now they can see. Okay? May oral ka na. Meron ka ng visual. Gusto niyo lagyan ng leisure activity yon? How do you do that? Your telling story could be a leisure activity. Lagyan natin ng konting game. Okay? Pag sinabi mo yung pangalan mo, tatayo ka. Papalakpak kami. Pag sabi ka ng kwento mo, marinig namin pangalan mo, papalakpak kami, pero tatayo ka. Okay? Something like making it leisure. Kaya nga, pwede pa lang ang isang activity, ulitin ko, multimodal. Meron kang oral, may visual ka din, may reading and writing ka, may new technology ka, may numeracy ka, at may leisure activity. Yun pala yun. Pwede pala, ma'am. Pag samasamahin ko na siya, no, I just need to think of ways how that can be done. Para multimodal ang presentation natin ng language activities moving towards literacy. Pag language lang, mas madali. But when you purposely related to literacy, you must spend time to direct cognitive allocation. Yung utak nila ay madirect na how this can be leading to literacy by multimodality. Next. Next topic, no? Now, sige ma'am, alam ko na yung multimodality. Alam ko na rin po ang multimedia. Alam ko na rin po ang mga practices. Ano nga yung 5 yon? Good job. Oral and visual. Correct. Numeracy activities. Wonderful. You said reading and writing activities. New technology. Wow, you're amazing. Number 5, leisure activities. Perfect. No, alam nyo na yan. Ang mga klase ng activities, paano mag-deliver ng message, anong pwedeng gamitin to deliver a message. Now, let's focus on what you can contribute as the live dynamic element of instruction. Kayo yan. Ulitin ko, tayong teacher ang nagdi-deliver ng curriculum. So ano dapat ang engaging, motivating, alluring, captivating? Use all positive adjectives. Sa ayaw at sa gusto nyo, tayo yan. Kasi yung nakasulat, hindi buhay. Ang buhay yung nagdi-deliver. Yung curriculum, patay yan kung hindi natin i-deliver sa classroom. Paano natin i-deliver? There must be fun. Something that we enjoy. 2, we can differentiate our instruction or activities. There are several pala. So one group may be using oral, visual, 1, leisure, 2. Maybe that's one way of differentiating it. Giving feedback. Meaning, you tell your students in the simplest short sentence way to understand, so what happens to what they have done. Normally, sabi nyo, good, very good, correct. Good, very good, correct. Hala, there are 101 ways to praise a child. 101 ways na utuin ang mga bata. Hindi lang good, very good, correct. O kaya, teka, upo, mali, sandali. Although they can take it, why? They suffer more from bores than from brutes. Kaya nila kung medyo dragon mo. Medyo matapang at strict, kaya nila yan. Pero pagka boring ka, lalo naman yatang boring na, ang strict pa, kawawa naman. Pwedeng strict, pero engaging, motivating, gusto nila yan. Okay, give feedback. Right, you are. Perfect. Maramdaman nyo rin naman yung sinasabi nyo na, perfect, wonderful, good, sit down, next, correct. Ay, para namang AI si teacher. No, you are dynamic. Technology integration. Baka may pointer man lang kayo. Yung red. Makita ng mga bata, gumagalaw-galaw at gusto nilang gamitin. No? May TV ka na pwede naman, sige anak, push the remote. Go to this one, do this, and many more. Parents' involvement, unfortunately, still one major problem. But maybe you can invite parents. Diba? Parang may rule nga ang DepEd, ang mga nanay nasa gate na lang. Bawal papasok. Ngayon, maghihintay sila, nakatanga doon. Mami, tulungan mo ko today. Kunyari, ikaw yung cook. Ano kayang ginagawa ng cook? Pwede ikaw? Tapos kami yung kakain, kami titikim. Pwede po bang ganun? Mga simple way that our parents may be invited to act out in the role play, to talk about some things, and then make sure you have patience. Lord God, give me the patience of Job. Oo, kasi sabihin nyo na lahat, ang gulo, ang laki ng klase, ang iingay, ay, naubos ang... Have the patience. For grade 1, I always believe the best teacher should be put in grade 1 classes. That's the foundation, or at least first key stage. This we have been tarping, advocating, that you promote grade 1 child grade 1 teachers, I should say. Mapopromote ka na sa grade 1 ka, basta ikaw ang pinakamagaling. Kasi yung magagaling nating teacher, napopromote sa matataas eh. Sana manatili sila sa key stage 1 at sila yung nagho-hone ng skill pang grade 1 literacy teacher. Mas pasensyosa, mas maraming silang alam, mas kaya nilang umintindi haba ng pise para ma-achieve yung language literacy. No? growth and development. And let us celebrate progress, even when it's just simple progress. The very tiny is an iota of what we expect. We celebrate more of the progress than of the criticism. Sana ganito tayong mga grade 1 teachers. Wala na akong pake kung sa high school, sa college, wala na siyang fun. Ayaw niya na mag-feedback. But for grade 1, do I have the following? Where do I lack? Fun? Kasi ma'am, ang daming trabaho, ipapapull out pa ako. That is one thing very contagious, to have fun, to be engaged. Ma'am, I need to know more about differentiated instruction. Maybe later on, tomorrow we will talk about reading literacy instruction in self-contained classes. Okay, self-contained. Ikaw magtuturo, 5 subjects, iba-ibang curriculum. Paano kayang gagawin yan? But definitely, that could be your way of delivering your instruction. And then, many of this, patience, all levels po. Thank you, Ma'am Arcia Suaner-Balinas. Yes, but the most for grade 1, key stage 1. Next. Oh, I am almost done. Oh, ma'am, alam ko na yan. Sige po, alam ko na anong trait ko. Ma'am, alam ko na ang multimedia. Ma'am, alam ko na ang multimodal. Ano pa? Ma'am, alam ko na yung mga activities. Paano ko na yan ilalagay sa klase ko? Okay, you take note of our framework, our pedagogical framework for language and literacy learning. The German sounding words, 𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸, stands for systematic, motivating, explicit instruction by modeling using visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile senses. 𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸. You must be systematic. Hindi ka nasa bahay. Lahat ng language pwede. Lahat ng materials pwede. Hindi. Kasi may control ka. May curriculum ka. So now from home environment, transferring it to school. And school, when I say school, it's academic. Bakit academic? Kailangan may reading and writing sila. Kasi hindi pwedeng panay oral lang. Kung oral exposure lang ang bata, okay na siya sa bahay. Pero sa school, academic setting, reading, writing, literacy, very important for reading to learn later on. So, take note, you must be systematic in your texts, in the use of language. You must be motivating as a significant factor in delivering instruction. Use explicit instruction. Please Google again. Explicit instruction has the following. 1, teacher explanation. 2, when you explain, you also model. Okay. So this is the. How do I write the? The is written this way. This is the. The letter is D, but the sound is D. Sound, grapheme, relationship, take note. Sound, D. Letter D. Model, I write it this way. Model the right way. Visual, show how you produce the sound. Isa pa yon, pinaka-exaggerated ang grade 1 teacher, particularly in producing the sounds. Children should differentiate the sound very, very well. And to be acute there, you must produce the sounds well. Wala akong pakialam kung ang nguso nyo maaalis na. Tumalbog na ang lahat ng tatalbog at lalabas. Pinakamaarte, pinakamarami. Kaya, mas maraming exposure. Hirap na kayong Hindi pwedeng Parang ang liit, ayaw sabihin ni teacher. No? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile. Sound nyo, At marami pa. Next. How does it look like? Saan ba natin kinuha yung 𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸 na yan? 𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐸 is coined From the nature of language and literacy, take note, both are systematic. It cannot be a language if there is no system. Each language has its own system. You follow the system. Filipino has a system, English has a system, Arabic has a system, Chinese has a system. We learn the system. There is systematic instruction needed. Teacher modeling of learning process. Okay. The curriculum begins from the receptive modes, but later on to productive mode. What you teach, they learn, they produce. You teach a story, they learn about it, they should produce their story. Through explicit instruction, the one I told you. What again are the steps? Teacher explanation, teacher modeling, guided practice. All together we practice. And then small group practice. Okay, this group, this group, this group. And later on, individual practice. A lot of practices before you even do your evaluation. Teacher explanation, teacher modeling, guided practice, small, guided practice, individual. Using the VACT, multimodal, language, visual, auditory, olfactory, haptic, kinesthetic, multimedia, using the integration of technology, exposure, planning your activities well, and that your environment is, you are in school in an academic context with all limitations of time, content, curriculum guide presented to us. There is a learning outcome expected. And then, next slide, please. Okay, I'm done. Let's take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Baka may mga tanong kayo sa presentation ko, no? This is but the tip of an iceberg, so to speak. Only 3 hours. But if you have more questions, we're willing to address them. I am now into some generalizations or some abstraction from my input today. 1, please remember, of all the general views we hold about language and literacy, I hope you bear in mind that there is a strong link between language and literacy and when intentionally done. Hindi siya natural na nade-develop. Magaling ka na sa language, magaling ka sa literacy. Hindi. Language is natural. Literacy should be intentional. Repeat. Yes, there's a strong bidirectional causal relationship between language and literacy. That your growth in language is also your growth in literacy when and only when you are intentional about it. Language is natural, literacy is intentional. Next, using a language has to be coupled with literacy development so that we adhere to the general idea that language is equal to literacy. Instruction could be organized following your SMEIMs, mind facts. Ang ibig ko lang sabihin yan, may system nga ba ako? Am I motivating? Meron ba akong explicit instruction? Teka, may modeling ba ako? May visual na ba ako dito? May auditor? Okay, pwede ko na itong sundin as my framework when I teach. We are one significant, primordial factor in delivering motivating, engaging lessons. Unfortunately, not the instructional material, kasi ikaw na yun. You are the instructional material. Unfortunately, not so much of your technology. Kahit naman present lahat ng technology, kung hindi naman tama ang sistema ng paggamit at inangkla para sa curriculum learning, baka sayang din. You take note also of multimodal and multimedia texts that help facilitate learning. We go back to our key framework, language literacy, explicit instruction, text multimedia, multimodal. I hope this one guides when you reflect on your plan for teaching grade 1 learners language and literacy. Next slide. Our curriculum, our DepEd has offered at us teachers some affordances or some provisions. No? For example, DepEd already has a framework for language arts. There are big ideas as our curriculum framework. Hindi na kayo mag-iisip, binigay na nila yan. In my talk, I guided you using a readability formula to select your text so that you can systematize, you can control, you can make it motivating. Your texts, whether oral, visual, multimedia text, the topic, the type of text, literary informative, the pattern for children. I did not cover it because I think that's one for language. But the pattern for your text could be more of stories, poems, and the domains and competencies from receptive to productive have been arranged in the curriculum guide. It's a guide. Okay? If it's a guide, you may deviate a bit. Actually, you may do curriculum alignment if you think it is there, but I think I need to map to improve my delivery. And then I have proposed a pedagogical framework for teaching. Okay, when you put this together, that's the essence of strengthening grade 1 learners' language towards improved literacy. Next slide, please. Now, how do we transfer what we have learned? This is the third objective I have. Please deliberately plan learner exposure to multimodal multimedia text. Be reflective. Teka, ano ba, ilan na bang media ang gamit ko? Ano bang modality? Wag lang uni. Pwede na siguro isang medium, pero please, multi-modes. Baka TV lang ang media mo, pero multimodal. Nakita, narinig, they act out, they follow. Teachers should model learning. We do, then we teach. We teach and do. Repeat. Model learning. Do, then teach. Teach and do. Kasi, sabi nung isang palabas, teachers, those who can, they do. Those who cannot, they teach. Ibig sabihin niya, ang mga teacher, they just teach. They do not do. But because those who can do, those who can, they do. Hindi. Sabi ng explicit instruction, you know this one? Explain. Then model. If you can model, then you can do. Then, teachers can do what they teach. So, they teach and they do. Allow learners to express in multimodal ways. Anak, sige, mahiyain ka. You don't like speaking a lot? Sige, draw, and we will make the story. You just tell us whether we're correct or not. Ah, okay. You like speaking? Ikaw kaya ang mag-explain ng sinulat niya, dinrawing niya. Deliver lessons in an engaging, motivating manner. Not just the motivation part of the lesson. Kasi sa lesson natin, nakasulat motivation. Naku, motivated sila. Tapos nun yung second na development of the lesson, wala nang motivation. Kasi ma'am, first part lang yung motivation. Hindi. Dapat ang motivation hindi first part of the lesson. It should emanate. It should be seen permeating all throughout our lesson. Engaging beginning, engaging developing, engaging ending of the lesson. Motivating. Okay, next. Let's wrap up. Well, language appears to be more naturally acquired than literacy. Check. Literacy happens when underlined intentionally purposefully explicit thoughts in connection to language. If only we had enough time for demonstration teaching of sample lessons that you have. I think that's what we expect in our collaborative expertise. When you apply in your own classroom, is mind fact. That's when we see the connect between seminar and application. Balanced exposure to and experiences with language and literacy can be planned based on appropriate practices with multimodal, multimedia text. What are these 5 practices? Good. Amazing. You brought the house down. You got it right. Wonderful. Those 5. And teachers, not the curriculum, gives life to lesson delivery. Blame the curriculum for all its flaws, for all its inadequacies, fine. But ultimately, it's not the curriculum that gives lesson life, dynamism. Teachers are the motivation factor of language, literacy, and text domains of the curriculum. Next. Okay, I have given you my in-text citation. I mentioned them, particularly UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning 2015 and other years. We have the Matatag curriculum. We have David Crystal used, teachers and actors as articles among the references used. Then, daghang salamat. And good morning, everybody. I hope this is one challenging, beneficial, not very boring session with us today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much once again to our resource speaker, Dr. Mary Ruth Gutierrez, for generously sharing your expertise and insights with us today. Well, your time and knowledge have been invaluable, and we deeply appreciate your contribution for making today's session so meaningful. So without much ado, I think we can entertain 2 questions from our viewers. If you have questions, you can type in the chat box. While we are waiting, there, we already have 1 question, ma'am.
Phone-in questions.
Phone-in question. We have 1. Let me read the question for Dr. Gutierrez. How can teachers assess the language skills of grade 1 learners and track their literacy progress?
Thank you for that wonderful question. Parang Miss Universe.
Ang Miss Universe, mama.
Thank you and welcome to...
Sige, ma'am, go ahead.
The best way to assess is to let the child speak. Let the child speak. Or let the child listen to you. Just in our curriculum, 1 instruction, 1 sentence direction. How do I say it? Sa curriculum nakasulat para sa grade 1, follow instructions with 1 direction. Let the child follow you. Bigyan mo siya instructions. Anak, stand. Filipino, anak, tayo. Upo. Naintindihan ka niya? Una muna listening and then speaking. Show picture. Anak, tell me what you see here. 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 Let the child listen. Repeat. Give instructions. Do. Ask questions. Answer. Huwag naman yung tanong, what is the meaning of life? Baka hindi niya nga alam ano yung life eh. Medyo simple naman. Relatable, personal experiences. Huwag din naman yung emotionally charged question. Anak, anong pinag-awayan niyo sa bahay? Baka umiyak siya. Baka umiyak. Medyo simplihan. Leisure, pleasurable, relatable. You assess the language skill, particularly of your grade 1 learners, is through the receptive listening and speaking activity. Pasalitain, pakinigin, pasagutin. How you can track? Di iba-ibahin mo lang. No, in fact, the best is not a lot of tracking but a lot of exposing language using. No? Isa pa. Ang pinakamainam na measure according to readability again, kung gusto nyo bilangin, ma'am, kung ilang salita ang alam ng bata, the more salita, the more words a child knows, the easier to comprehend. That's the relationship between vocab and compre. For a grade 1 child, pagpasok niya, ilan dapat ang salitang alam niya, natutunan niya sa bahay. May orasin na siya eh. Kailangan mo na lang i-translate from oracy to literacy. O ma'am, ilan ba? Suggestion ni Gunning, no? Constructing literacy instruction for all children. Gunning suggests 5,000 words that your child should know when they enter grade 1. Eh, ano ba yung mga salitang yon? O di ma'am, kay Dodge, basic sight words, 220 words na yon. Words about family, because personal, that's the first context, topic. First context yan. Family, alam niya naman ang tatay, mother, father, kuya, sibling, kung di niya alam, sana may 5,000 words. O bilangin niyo na, ilan kaya ang alam ng bata? Anak, tell me, members of your family. Anak, you may, how many ates and kuyas? How many? There. Pag kulang daw, I'm saying daw, because this is from the book. You haven't tried perhaps. Pag kulang ng 5,000 words, pagpasok sa klase, ikaw na teacher ang magbi-build nun bago pa ang formal instruction mo. Saan siya kulang? Eh ma'am, baka ang alam niya, elevator. Rush mataas. Ay, mas mataas pa ang alam niya kaysa sa iyo. Eh, pwede naman yon, right? Kasi ang daming exposure. Manood siya, natutunan niya na yung salitang Kraken. Dimension. Manood lang ang mga bata, Dr. Binox, Khan Academy, and many more. Ang dami nilang natutunan. But, when we systematize in the classroom, okay ako na marami siyang alam, pero dapat alam niya itong inaasahan ko na 5,000 words galing sa kay Gunning, words about oneself, the family, the environment. Action words that describe what a child does, I should say, and can do. Ganun dapat yung salitang alam niya. O maglista na kayo. May 100 words na ba kayo na dapat alam ng mga bata pag pumasok sa klase? Kulang pa ma'am. Dagdagan niyo kasi dapat 5,000 daw. Assignment. Ano ang 5,000 words na dapat alam ng grade 1 ko pagpasok sa klase? Para madali nilang maintindihan yung mga konseptong palalalimin ko in my class. Thank you for that question. How can...
May isa pa pong question, ma'am. How can families support the language development and literacy skills of their grade 1 children at home?
Very good. I like the term support because naturally they use language at home, right? Without language, how do they talk? Panay action? Hindi. There has to be a verbal language. So naturally, they use language. Yes? May pamilya bang tahimik? Walang language. So, meron na silang language. Unfortunately, as I have said, the language is naturally used according to the happening of life events. Hindi nila yan sinestematize. Ngayon, ang pag-uusapan lang namin is about health. Wala siyang ganong curriculum. Well, hindi. Basta kung anong nangyayari, yun ang may lingwahe sila. How we can support, how they can support. Dito tayo pareho. The categories of language literacy practices at home may be the same as the language literacy activities in school. Only difference, yours is more systematic. Unless you give them, ma'am, these are the topics we shall cover. Maybe you'd like to talk about them at home. Only then they can be deliberate in their practices at home. Ma'am, family po ang first quarter. Pwede po ang pag-usapan nyo sa family ay tungkol sa sarili, physical, kulay, shape. Pwede pong ganon. Could be way. Guide also the parents. Share somehow. your curriculum and what the curriculum expects for a quarter and try to tone down the curriculum. Hindi teacher ang mga magulang. Hindi sila formal teacher. Mga inborn. Since birth, teacher na sila. Kayo, professional teacher. So, i-tone down nyo yung curriculum para matulungan kayo. Simple lang. Ma'am, ngayon ito po ang bilangin nyo. Pabilang nyo, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ma'am, ito po yung mga kulay na sa environment dapat ma-focus. Hati-hatiin nyo din. Iata-atado nyo rin, no? Para masundan. May language activity na, i-devote nyo na sa literacy sa bahay. Ganito, anak, lahat ng sinabi mo, pwede nating isulat. Hawak ka ng papel. Pahawakin nyo na ng pencil, ng color. Pag sinabi ko, puti, pwede mong isulat yan. Yung sinasabi, pwedeng isulat. Slowly, meron na kayong direction sa literacy, reading and writing, hindi pa lang yung formal language. But once they use the hand, they get a paper or anything they can write on, and you guide them no matter the code. Kahit invented code lang yan. Slowly, trying to tell them, whatever you say, we can use a symbol to represent it. And that is literacy. Using symbol to represent the idea you have in mind. And our code is Filipino language code or English code. Hindi ko kayo matutulungan sa mother tongue. I'm not so used to the different codes used in Ifugao, for example. They have marami silang F, marami sila. So we are more familiar with the Filipino and English codes, which we want to promote for their literacy later on. Next. I'm sorry. Thank you. Ang haba ba ng sagot ko?
Okay lang po yun, ma'am. Parang pang-miss you pa rin. Thank you so much, Doc, for giving out a very profound answer for the questions this morning. We cannot cater much of the questions, but I think, Doc, if later you can read the comments, you can also reply sa comment section.
Okay. We'll spend, say, 10 minutes.
Once again, thank you so much, Doc Mary Ruth Gutierrez, and may you continue to inspire more individuals in your future endeavors. Let me also read some of our starred comments. Thank you, Doc, for a very informative lecture from Mamira Pipito, watching in Agusan del Sur. Hello, Ma'am Mira. Thank you so much for your comment. And also from Ma'am Paula, Doc, thank you so much for our speaker. Very informative. God bless po from Lawak Elementary School, Amungan, Iba, Zambales.
Thank you.
Hi, Zambales. I'm from SDO Zambales. Then we have from Ma'am Rubilin Enriquez. She said, thank you so much po for sharing your expertise with us. This is very informative and we learned so much from it. From Moncaya Central Elementary School, Moncaya West District Schools Division of Davao de Oro. Hello po, taga Davao. And one more from Ma'am Via. Ma'am Via, thank you for sharing your expertise. Very much appreciated po. Watching from SDO Palawan, Dumaran Island District.
Thank you, Ma'am Via.
Thank you po. Last message to our viewers today, ma'am.
Yes. What do I say? You are a teacher. Be a teacher. Do not just test. Do not ask. Teach. When I say teach, you model. You show. You do what you teach. You give exposure. We are the teachers. We can be proud. We teach grade 1 learners.
Yeah, that was very beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Gutierrez. At bago tayo magtapos para sa ating session, maaari na po nating sagutan ang ating daily attendance at daily evaluation link. This is this is already our daily attendance as well, yung ating evaluation link. Ang link at ang QR code para dito na rin makikita ngayon sa ating screens. And paalala po, maaari pong kumplituhin ang mga form na ito dahil ito ang makakatulong sa aming kupunan upang matukoy ang bilang ng mga unit na matatanggap mula sa PRC-approved na online training na ito. At isang gentle reminder po, Would like to remind everyone to only click and access evaluation links shared by the Department of Education's official Facebook pages for all the discussions. We encourage everyone to kindly disregard any links coming from private individuals in the comment section. So doon lang po tayo sa legit na link. Everyone, don't forget to take a picture or go to the link. We already have it on screen. Muli po, thank you very much, and we wish you continued success in your endeavors as educators. We look forward to seeing you in our next session. And of course, we'll have a session for this afternoon. We'll have for kindergarten. And ako po ang inyong MC for today. My name is Army Christine Borinaga mula sa SDO Mandaue City. Magandang tanghali sa ating lahat. Have a great afternoon and have a sumptuous lunch, everyone.